What a game in Buffalo. Now, if that was an AFC playoff game, if that was an AFC championship game, we'd all go home with our money's worth. That was an incredible game in the snow in Buffalo. Cinematically, it just looked amazing with the snow piling up early, the flurries coming down, the snow squall that came through in the first half, the points, the quarterbacks, the big plays, and the drama in the fourth quarter. That game was amazing. And in many ways, it's just disappointing as a football fan that likely ends Joe Burrow's playoff hopes. Who knows in the AFC North, maybe 8-9 actually has a shot to win the division. But as a football fan, that guy belongs in big games. And maybe as a Bills fan, you don't want to see him, eradicate him from the playoff picture because the guy can get it done no matter the circumstance. But 2 crucial interceptions is the turning point of this game. Welcome inside Bill Matic, everybody. So glad you're with us. I'm DA Damon Amendolara. You can usually catch me on Sirius XM weekday mornings on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82. And Bill Matic conjures up images of the 90s. It's an homage to perhaps the greatest hip-hop album of all time, Nas's Illmatic. And what says 90s more than the Bills? So I wanted to chronicle this season because it was all or nothing. Either you get to a Super Bowl or it's a crushing failure. And as the season has unfolded, it is now more obvious than ever that there is a moment in time right now for the Buffalo Bills and for everybody in the AFC to dream, because the Kansas City Chiefs may not even make the playoffs. I don't think they will. And what had been the team standing in everybody's way is now pushed to the side. And it doesn't matter if you're a perfect team, because none of these AFC teams are. And it doesn't matter if you haven't been there before, because most, if not all of these teams will not have been, not with their current iteration. When you look at the AFC and the pure domination of the Kansas City Chiefs, only one team in the Patrick Mahomes era really can say we've gotten there out of the AFC, not name the Chiefs. And that was this team, Joe Burrow's Bengals. So if the Chiefs are not going to make the playoffs and the Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs, somebody's time is now. I think big picture, the Christian Benford pick 6 could end up altering the trajectory of this season. And you can go back a week and talk about another defensive score in which the Bills used it as propulsion to get through the Steelers. But this was even a more daunting task considering how easily the Bengals were moving the football, how easily they were scoring, and how well Burrow was throwing the football. And the fact that the Bengals were going back into the end zone seemingly, and it was a drive seemingly destined for a touchdown for Cincinnati, which goes back the other way for 6 for the Bills as the snow was all around amongst the Highmark Stadium crowd. This could be the last 1 o'clock game in the stadium, and perhaps last snow game inside a stadium that's seen so many elements in snow. It was almost perfect. It was cinematic in many ways. And that moment in this game not only altered the game, but it may have altered the Bills season, and it may have ended the Bengals season. When it mattered most in the second half, once again, the Bills played their best football. And I think that has to be noted right now. And I think it has to be noted going into these deciding games at the end of the season. There was the stat that the Fox team showed somewhere at the beginning of the third quarter. The point differential for the Bills in the first half coming into this game was, I think, 19th. In the second half, first in the NFL. They're plus 80 points in the second half. And it happened again today, where in the first half, the defense got completely ripped apart. And then the second half came, And the Bills offense woke up. They scored 28 points and came up with 2 massive turnovers to flip the field and to set up their offense and score their own points as well. If there is something that Bills fans should come out of this game talking about and feeling and thinking about, is that in this total crapshoot that is the AFC playoff picture, the Bills have 2 things. While this has been a chaotic, crazy, up and down season that's had just as many ughs as there have been yays, number 1, they will have the quarterback advantage in basically every playoff game they play, at least in the AFC. And we saw what Josh did today. And then secondly, the fact that their defense is so much better in the second half is something you can say, okay, it gives you a flutter of hope against anybody in January. That's the big picture takeaways. And more than anything, look, the Bills need wins. They need wins to remain in the AFC playoff wild card picture, because if the division is out of the barn already, and it's not quite, because they'll still get this game coming up in Foxborough, but you need help to catch the Patriots. You can take your own control of your playoff destiny simply by winning football games. Then they really needed 9 wins. They needed 9 wins, just like they need 10 and 11, because right now in the AFC playoff picture, coming into the weekend, a lot of 8 and 4s, and you got to keep making sure these type of coin toss games go in your favor. And if you finish at 12 and 5, you're going to be in the playoffs. Fine. You spin the wheel of fortune and you're at least in the dance. But beyond 5 losses, now you're starting to worry. You know, the Chiefs have 6 and they might be on the outside looking into this playoff field. So today, where it could have been your 5th loss, meaning that maybe next one's elimination time, you pick up a W, and that's the most important thing on the docket. So those are my opening thoughts on this incredible game. And I would also say that the Buffalo Bills are basically guaranteed to play great games. They are guaranteed to play crazy, zany, chaotic games, because the defense seems to always give up enough plays early to make it a little too close for comfort, or in this case, some plays late as well. I mean, the last touchdown drive by the Bengals took like 34 seconds? How quickly did they go right down the field and score to the T. Higgins touchdown? But also, because you have Josh, because you have the ultimate super nuclear weapon, every game is in play. Every single game at all times is in play. So the Bills are just addicted to playing crazy football games, and it happened again today in Buffalo. A major win in a crazy game that felt a lot like a playoff game at Highmark Stadium. Let's get to some of your goods, shall we? All right, so when it comes to what you can really like about this game, about this effort, like I said, second half, a much better football team than in the first half yet again. Much better to close than it is to dominate the first half and wither in the second. You'd like them to play a full 60 minutes. That would be nice. But you'll take what you can get in a win, and that is a team that plays much better the second half. Mostly, though, you look at 2 things. Josh Allen's production with his legs and a defense needing to create game-changing plays, and they got both of those today. The Josh Allen scramble for the touchdown is a thing of beauty. You know, it's the longest touchdown run of his career with 40 yards, but it's also when it happens. And this is why Josh gives you a chance in every playoff game you will have, is that pocket collapses, nobody downfield, and he has this instinct of duck and run because I have a lane and I can beat everybody to that spot. And that's what happens on this touchdown run. In many ways, it's indefensible, because when Josh decides, I'm going, I can beat you to that spot, he can. He can. It's a lot like Lamar Jackson. And there are mobile quarterbacks, and then there's Lamar and there's Josh. And Josh is healthy. Lamar is not. That ability is everything. And look what happened to ice the game as well. That play to pick up the first down, to ice the game, to get that first down that ends the ball game, is, again, Josh just sensing, I can beat you to that spot. I mean, on 3rd and 15, is Greg Olsen saying, just run the football and then punt it away. What you're doing is up 5, giving Joe Burrow the ball back to cut your heart out, right? I mean, that's basically what we're looking at there. Here's the ball. You have, 2 minutes to go, a little bit less, and now you can go right down the field and we can't help it. Now, maybe there was a defensive stop in there for the Bills, but you're giving him the football back. Instead, on 3rd and 15, only Josh right now sees a moment, sees a point on the field and goes, I can beat you there, and does, and that's the game. It's an incredible moment. It's an incredible play. It's an incredible run, and that was one of 2 incredible runs in the game that totally flips the game. The second part is, this defense, if they're not going to be this year's Browns or this year's Seahawks or this year's Texans, which are real bloodthirsty, get after the quarterback type of defenses, if they can just create turnovers, it can make up for their weaknesses. But they have to create turnovers. They got to get out of jams. When you create turnovers in defense, essentially it's get out of jail free card. It's, you can allow the offense to pick up first downs and move the chains and drain clock. But if they get no points out of that drive, it doesn't matter. It's all for naught. And in this case, just like last week, the defense not only created 2 turnovers, but also created their own points. And that's going to be the great equalizer here for the Bills and the Bills defense. They're still not great against the run. They're not going to be great as a unit, as a whole. They're not going to be a choke you out type of defense like Houston has. But as long as they create turnovers, and even better, create your own points, at least short fields, that's the biggest thing going right now. And I will say that in terms of stopping the pass, the Bills have been better than we think they've been. Statistically, they've been pretty good against the pass this year. It has been stopping the run. And, this was a day where it's really all about the pass, and Burrow killed him in the first half. Absolutely killed him. But if they can start knotting things up in the second half, which they did, which you got to give them credit, they did get off the field on the 3rd and 4th quarters, then, at least you can walk away going, okay, the defense made some of the plays they needed to. Not all of them, certainly, because you give up 34 points and you have to sweat it out at the end. But something to look forward to. I would also say, James Cook is one of the best running backs in football. It's just no ifs, ands, or buts. What looked to be an incredible touchdown in which he glides through the defense, bounces off tacklers, and dives into the end zone, which originally looked like a touchdown. Then we saw it called back for a holding. Then we saw that there was a fumble out of bounds. There's very few running backs that can do all of that. He's really amazing. Now, the flip side is the fumbles, but he's really, truly amazing. And an all-pro caliber season where he got paid in the offseason, and it did not affect his production, nor his vigor, nor the type of player he is, which is still looking for contact and bouncing off contact. He's amazing. The fumbling issues are a problem, and we'll get to those coming up here shortly. But what you saw from James Cook on that play is, dude, when James Cook flies around like that, you not only have one of the best quarterbacks in football, you have one of the best running backs in football who can do things that not many other running backs can. It's like Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't even know if Christian McCaffrey's fair to put in that, because he's been so banged up and he's kind of coming to the end, I think, of the window of true production. There's been a couple of really good players this year. I mean, Rico Dowdle's had an amazing season. Of course, there's some other, the guys in Chicago have been great. But in terms of singular running back start to finish this season, Gibbs and Cook, and I don't know, because Cook has been absolutely phenomenal. And if he could just hold on to the football, that would be a pretty massive part of the equation for the Buffalo Bills here in the final month of the season. Certainly wasn't all good today. I mean, it's got to start with the first half and the defense just allowing the Bengals to rip through them, drive after drive. It gets 7s and not 3s. You know, when you have a home game like this, you want to start by stamping your personality or your control on the game. It's at home. It's at Highmark, snowy conditions. You know, this is a Bengals team that's 4-8. They've had a lot of losses this season. You've got to make sure you make the first statement. And what happened? Bengals get the opening drive, go right down the field and score 7. It's like, ugh. And that needs to be a drive where the defense is better there. And then they give up a touchdown on the 2 ensuing possessions as well. And, you know, now suddenly the Bengals have 21 points at the break, and you've got work to do. The defense came up with plays of the second half. The defense walks out of there with a win, 2 turnovers, etc. I don't know how many playoff games you plan to win if you give up 21 points in the first half. Defense has got to be better, especially early. Just even if it's 14, if it's 13, if it's 17, at least it's not 21 at halftime. Second part is, you know, that the holding penalties killer on the would-be Cook deep run to the 1-yard line when he fumbles out of bounds. But then, you know, he fumbles after that as well at the goal line, and it's a back-breaking turnover, and it simply cannot happen. And I don't know why a player of his magnitude, of his ability, has had the fumbling issues. He is so good bouncing off of tackles. It's not like he's always just loosey-goosey with the ball, but these moments near the goal line and really the last 2 weeks simply cannot happen. They absolutely cannot happen, because that is the difference between winning and losing a football game, especially in January. He's got to be better than that. I thought also, you know, there was third down conversions in the first half, and then also late in this game that the Bills just keep getting gouged on. And last year was a third down problem, and this year's been a third down problem. And I don't know what can be done to this point of the season to fix the third down defense, but it's got to be fixed. Because again, when you are talking about the playoffs and potentially going on the road for 3 games, third downs is where you have to get off of the field, because you're playing on the road in front of a crazy environment, atmosphere, and noise. You've got to get off the field on third down. So something that, you know, this Bills team has to be better on. And overall, just points scored. You cannot assume you can win football games giving up 34 points. You simply cannot. And I'll once again go back to that last touchdown drive. I mean, my God, the Bengals went down the field in 4 plays for 50 seconds to score a touchdown. They went 4 plays in less than a minute to score a touchdown. It can't be that quick. It just cannot happen like that. You know, you've given yourself an 11-point lead. At that point in time, what it was Burrow to Gesicki for 29, for 37, and then you had the 4-yard pass to Gesicki again, and then the 25-yarder to T. Higgins for the touchdown. I mean, they basically connect on 2 big plays, and that's it. My God, you know, geez. It cannot be that easy to give up those types of drives and those types of points, especially on a day where the momentum had completely flipped in your favor and you're just there to make the Bengals work for it. And that, I think, was the most disappointing thing about that drive. You're just looking to make them work for it. You know, just keep it all in front of you, make them work for it. They're going to go down the field and score a touchdown. Fine. Make them take time off the clock. Bing, bing, 2 plays. They're in the end zone. Okay. So plenty to look at from game film, and I feel like we say this each and every week. They got the win, but there's a lot to work on in the film room coming up here this week. But you'd rather do it after a win than obviously after a loss. There are always things to look to from the sky as well for perhaps signs from above. As an addict, a crack addict of NFL films, having seen every single America's Game episode, which is the story of the Super Bowl champions throughout the years, and however many NFL films, retrospectives on specific seasons of Super Bowl champions, even before the America's Game series was created, I know something. And that is, there are the moments in a season that almost seem scripted, that look cinematic, and that NFL films will pinpoint and say, this is where the trajectory of the season changed. And the Christian Benford play kind of felt like that. This is the final year at Highmark. This is a snowy day in December in Buffalo. And this is Burrow, who has beaten you before in the playoffs, who looks every bit as dangerous as he ever did before the turf toe, coming down the field on you again. And you're just going, no, not again, not here, not now, anything but this. It just seemed tailor-made for a Temple of Doom ripping your heart out. And it's at that moment when Christian Benford intercepts the pass and goes back the other way. And that's a Bengals lead at the time, but they're going in for more. It's 28-25. They're going in for more. If they get a touchdown there, it's a 2-score game again, and there's 5 minutes to play. It's going to take a miracle. And Benford going 63 when Burrow kind of shovel passes it, getting out of the grasp of Burrow and then running to daylight. That's the play in NFL films. That's the play. That's going to look like the play. So we'll see if that is the play. There's a lot of football left to go. There's 2 months of football to go. But that felt like, on a day where the defense was getting absolutely killed, they got that one back. And then, of course, the interception after that leads to another score. So that's what we have today with the victory for the Buffalo Bills. And it's never going to be easy with this team. It's never going to be easy. Hey, the title sponsor of Bill Matic this year is Sandbaggers Sports Bar and Grill in Hamburg, New York. They are all... because we had a tremendous time doing it a couple weeks ago. By the way, if you'd like to become a partner with us here on the Bill Matic Podcast, which streams not only on YouTube, but also on Instagram and on Twitter as well, hit us up on all of those different ways to do so. You can email me. You can also hit me up on the DM side of things as well. And the handle on all social media platforms is at Damon Amendo, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Hit us up there now. So there you go. If you want to become a partner, come one, come all, come big business, come small. You can line up with us going into the playoffs and a beautiful time of year. My, oh my, is this going to be an amazing postseason for the NFL, because it is wide open. It's going to do it for us here on the Bill Matic Podcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We do this after every single Bills game. I'm back with you on Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, to recap all of the day around the NFL. Also, I am with you Monday morning starting at 6 a.m. Eastern time. So we will break down everything on Mad Dog Sports Radio Channel 82. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you get notified when we go live. If you're watching on X, if you're watching on Instagram, obviously make sure you're subbed there as well, following our account. But make sure you get over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get notified when we go live like this in your YouTube feed. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bills get a big victory in one of the games of the season. Very cool.